Well, let's see if it's going to. It says it's live. Hello, everyone. How are you? Happy Friday to you. May it be a most pleasurable experience for you this day. And as we like to say, nothing missing, nothing broken be found in your body. Hey, I like that aspect of it. So we'll go with that. And much favor to you. Shirt today says, have a nice alternate reality. Telling you folks, it's becoming that way every day. Hello, Nina the Mystic, David Castle, Kent Cook, Darth, good to see you. Gilbert, Spirit Girl in San Francisco, hello. Hello, David Barry, Big Al, big shout out to Perry. Did y'all know that Al's driving partner, his name's Perry? We just kind of send Perry a lot of favor. You know, he's working next to Al all the time. Man, all right. We love you guys. And good to see you. 09, hello. It's so good to see everybody. Sabrina, Susie Q, much love to you, my dear. Good to see you. And wow, fantastic day. Beloved Abstract, how you doing? James, hello. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Hey, Twisted Isby, good to see you. So good to see all of y'all. Happy birthday to Ever, who may be having one. And saw this really interesting because I looked in on the chat room. And so I can tell you this. Perry and Trina got it right. Seen a lot of others. Hello, Lost in Space. Good to see you. So yeah. So I'll cut the suspense. It is the cross, the 2 red cross. How about that? So anyway, it's working. I got to tell you, folks, there are some serious synchronicities, paradigm. I can't even say paradigm shifts. It's paradigm evolutions. We got the book, the alien book that helped us figure out. And as I open this, the Alpha book, y'all remember this? We read this. And this is a powerful book. I keep going back to it because I don't know about for you, but for myself, it really opened some gates, some channels in my head. And it's interesting. We're all, I think, those of us who we all want to say we have a soul, right? Boy, I got a lot of emails on that video yesterday. We're going to be going back to that website because there was other important aspects that was covered in that. But what's so interesting about that book, I mean, the website, this book, and as I told y'all, I am actually, by the way, Paul Joe, got your email, get backing with you. Thank you. I knew we had master craftsmen here, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. I was a drywall finisher. So anyway, be getting with you on that. And it's interesting to see, as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the material, the teacher will show up. And God, I was up late last night and got this book yesterday, and it was from Anonymous. And wow, interesting stuff. It really got my attention, and it's called, just so everyone can see, The Masters of Limitation, an ET's observation of Earth. And it is written by Daryl Anka. And I think that's a female, the way it's spelled. And it's dictated by Bashar. Now, Bashar, I'll show you what Bashar looks like so you can get an idea. This is a far out book, man. It will help scramble your noodle, is what it will help do. So let me give you some. So these are they're not our brothers and sisters. They are our distant relatives. They are part of us. They were created from part of us, plus other parts. And you can see they stand about 5 feet tall. The males have no hair, and the females, as you can see, do, and they typically are blonde. So, and anyway, it goes on to really get into some really interesting aspects. We're going to cover more of this because, again, I think it's becoming really obvious for many of us that no matter if you, whatever you believe, but everything that's out there, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, all of them are guessing. And if anything, they are alien doctrines, every one of them. And it's kind of weird because that's actually the theme of every one of them. You know, the question that we pose to everyone here. It's part of your initiation to get in. So is God a human or is he alien? Is it a he? And I found it real interesting. There was a point in here, and I actually put it in the description, that there is apparently a galactic council. Not all alien species belong to it. They approached humanity long ago, and the way that they have done this is by channeling. Channeling is, in essence, first contact. And as I've been reading in the book, there are those of us who have these skills. All humans possess it, but there's just some of us who happen to be much more in tune to it. And it is actually kind of the first threshold, because if they begin to send out, they only talk through telepathy. They're telepaths. They can speak English. English, by the way, seems to be much more common than I had a thought. Um, but the interesting thing is that when you're telepathic, apparently language is not an issue, because all creatures of intelligence primarily process in pictures, shapes, letters. When I say, "Did you see that dog cross the street?" Stop and immediately, this is how in my sales training exercises back in the days, it was to teach account executives how the mind processes. And a wizard, a sorcerer, a witch, a spellcaster, we can just go right down the line, an evangelist, a pastor, a priest, they learn the technique to implant in your thought process without you really knowing that it was done. And it's much easier if you believe that you thought it than if you're hearing it from someone who's trying to make you believe in it. It's true. One of the key points in sales, anyone who's in sales looking, let me teach you something. This is cost corporations a lot of money. People are not looking for reasons to buy, to be sold. What they're seeking is affirmation as why they're buying. So anyway, for what it's worth, someone asked on the mushrooms, the psychedelics, and the hemp. The book is called The Mushroom and the Cross, and it's in the library. I just couldn't get it. Also, make sure to send your pics over to Discord. David Barry's got that project. I think it'd be great to see what the soul tribe really looks all the way across. So yeah, there we go. Now what do we do? Got some interesting emails on the Steiger Perspective last night. Yep. Over there, you can have a conversation that's much more inclusive, and not be concerned about the censors. Anyway, I have told you about this book. It's a good book. I don't know if it's out on PDF. I don't have it. This is a great little book by Dr. Timothy Leary. Your Brain is God. And this ties into everything else we're reading. Our brain is truly God in every sense of the word. Physical, metaphysical, spiritual, energy, consciousness. And it's quite interesting when you start seeing your brain as really God. How else would it be patterned? The strange thing is that we know that when you look at the universe, it has the same look as a brain. There are some theoretical physicists who theorize that we are most likely nothing more than the imagination of thought from a superclass. You can't call it a being. It may be something beyond our comprehension, that its brain, their species, their brains are literally universes. And some theorize there could be billions of them, which would imply that there would be billions of alternate universes. Oh my God, can you believe it? That's exactly what we've been talking about. Yeah. It's all connected, folks. It really is. And, I think there was someone here that actually studied under Dr. Leary. I was into heavy LSD experimentation, and that was back in the day. I was in Houston, and everyone we didn't have the internet, but to be able to get something from Timothy Leary was really a big deal. Actually, I remember attending a lecture on the campus of the University of Houston about that very thing. I digress, though. We are synapses. That synapses. Yeah, Loretta, that's true. Yeah, you are the perspective of the creator. Yep, I would agree with that. Who was it? Oh, it was Third Rock from the Sun. That remember, I mean, that folks, that was a great comedy, by the way, along with news radio. But anyway, I digress. But in Third Rock from the Sun, it was the big head that made the contact. And yeah, of course, then it makes you think. So we have, as humans here, and actually animals have it as well, I believe plants have it as well, is emotions. We know plants can feel. They can respond to music. Animals obviously have emotions. And so that would imply, and hear me out on this, it's kind of a question then. Would higher intelligence always have emotions? Is emotions part and parcel of the attribute of intelligence, whether it be the very minimum or the absolute ultimate. Lost in space, you're right. That's the whole thing. When we started learning about quantum mechanics, quantum science, quantum computing, again, you can go out there, it's out there, see what the CEO, Jordy Rose, over at D-Wave Computer. In his first talk, and I think it was a TED talk, I'm not sure. Could be wrong on that, but Jordy Rose was talking about what it was like for them when they turned this first quantum computer on. And his direct quote was, it was like kneeling before an alien god. Now, by their own admission, if you go back and they update their website, but you can find it in the archives, they had on there for the longest time that their computer was able to literally create quantum universes. And if you ever look at the D-Wave computer and other quantum computers, they literally are in chambers. It's really interesting. They bring the temperature down to 2 degrees above absolute zero. I think that's what, 454 degrees, something like that. And the God chip, when the God chip gets activated in this quantum bubble, that is a absolute different reality than ours, it can literally, and they said this, their computer went into other quantum realities, universes, and brought material back. I don't know what that means exactly. Actually, I have a pretty good idea, but think about that. I have said, and there are many other scientists that holds the parchment paper behind their name, that when we exploded the first A-bomb in the atmosphere, I believe that that opened up a tear in the time-space continuum. I contend that entities that humans have no idea exist, we can't even fathom them. Those of us who study the occult, we can get a pretty good idea, but there's even something beyond that that came in to our reality. And there in the 50s, all the way into, I think, early 70s, we were popping those things off right and left. And if many of you will study it, when we exploded the hydrogen bomb, and it's in the archives, those scientists said we came that close from literally ripping the atmosphere. It almost got away. And that's why those type of weapons, no. And now they have the neutron bomb that could, it kills people, but leaves the buildings and everything else intact. Yeah, so lots going on here. Many say that that was the basis of the script for Generations, Star Trek, the movie First Contact, was that species look for those type of signatures, splitting the atom, and they know that, we've advanced. So anyway, well, I got off on a tangent on that one, didn't I? So anyway, speaking of which, there's some interesting PDFs I want to. I found this one. This is from Bernhard Gunther. We were over on his website yesterday. He's got a couple of good books. This is called The Perilous Path Towards Awakening. Folks, this is really interesting. he talks about the hyperdimensional matrix control system, the process of awakening. What does it mean to be awake? We've talked about that many times. The traps on the path towards awakening. And this is interesting. Spiritual bypassing, the trap of superiority, the trap of forcibly trying to wake up others, the trap of wanting to help others, the trap of revolutionary mind stuck in 3D, the trap of meaninglessness, avoidance of everyday responsibilities, trap of victim and blame consciousness, the trap of savior and martyr consciousness, occult hostile forces targeting the seeker. Wow. The trap of paranoia and attachment to experiences. The sincerity and radical self-honesty, life as a catalyst and a teacher. And I just perused it really quickly, and I can tell you, each chapter was one that really got my attention. There is another one, well worth it to have in your digital library. And if you want to buy it, you can. Archons, the Hidden Rulers Through the Ages. You know, when you think about it, folks, either man made up the stories, or there had to be a template in which he either derived the stories or the story was given. Now, I contend, through all the study I've done, anything that comes from the sky is not human. It can call itself human. It can say it was made us in its image. I don't know what that means, because an image can be anything. I can take a diamond and I can have it in the light, and it will show me many different facets of an image. But it appears more and more. And if you look at the book of Revelation, if you're one that's so inclined to look at that book and try to use it as somehow a marker or compass as to where humanity stands in history, good luck with that. But in any case, any of those events that are going to happen, it's not us doing it. It is something of a higher intelligence doing it. We're just the mere marks fulfilling the script. Anyway, this is a good book to have in your library. Isn't that a cool picture? Oh man, they got us by the short hairs. I'm telling you. We're going to get free of this crap. I'm telling you, we're going to bust it open, and we're going to become better than they are. But in any case, you know, the whole trip, and it is a trip, folks. You know, I and many of you who have taken LSD and other psychedelics, you know that there is a spiritual component to it. Every trip I took, there was a spiritual aspect to it. But yeah. So anyway, well worth you're getting. I'm just telling you, flat out, it is. And yeah, you know, when you look at these elements, isn't that interesting? That's what they call communion. The elements. Interesting. But these elements of shamanism, going to the earth to open the chakras. You know, I had an experience. I was part of a research group, and yeah, we were the lab rats, but we had a good time. But the thing about it is, our handlers, they really put us through a lot of exercises, but they taught us a lot, all while we were tripping on some very pure, like about 700 mic acid. I mean, it was really some pure stuff, the truth serum type stuff. And that's what LSD was initially discovered by, as a truth serum. And it's quite interesting. I contend this. I never had a bad trip. Never did. I met beings from another dimension, had several tests where I almost didn't come back. I was literally out of my body. But I also served as a counselor back in the day. This is back in 71, 72 in the Montrose area in Houston. There was a house that if you were tripping in a bad trip, you could go to the house, and you've had people like me. No, it was good because they found that they could have the psych department from Rice University and University of Houston and other places with their PhD grads in there. But it was us, those of us who took the trips, were able to get inside the heads of those who were having the bad trips. And I got to tell you, a lot of chicks had bad trips, really did. And um, the thing, though, that got me is that LSD is a mirror of ego, of you. And what you experience is going to be exactly what's in you. And a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people are afraid. And if you got fear in you, that is the wrong thing to be doing, because it's going to bring it out, and it's going to bring it out on steroids. But if you are of the point where you learn to meditate and learn to astral project using the LSD, this psychotronic drug, it'll take you places. Anyway, but it's all part of being, I think, a true wizard. The spirits are going to test you. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think a lot of people that cross over, I think that's what gets them really scrambled, because you're going to meet yourself. When I came out of the coma that I was in because of the meningitis and the Lyme disease, thank you very much. I remember they had me in this isolation room. I mean, they come in the hazmat suits, literally. But it was so profound on me because I had gone to the great abyss. I knew it. And I looked into the abyss. And it's true. The only thing you see is yourself, but it's not that simple. And it's not that complex. You see yourself. We are complex energies. Energy within itself is complex. And anyway, well, there's a lot of good energy here today, I tell you. It's that great line. And again, it's a great movie. Go see it. Get it on Netflix or wherever you get it. Joe versus the Volcano. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. And the great line in there, Meg Ryan says, let your mind go, let your body go, and let your mind go and your body will follow. That's it. And it is true, isn't it? So, all right, let's get into where we left off the other day. So let me just finish my point. I went through a passage, an initiation, at the age of 16. I passed. Now, it took me decades to fully understand what my initiation was all about. But any of you who've ever been out there, you know what I'm talking about. And I was a heavy consumer of LSD, mescaline, went out and actually picked peyote. Um, and for nearly 3 years of my life, that's where I was. I was living in between realities, multiple realities, and functioning very normal right here in the real world. But I was at other places. And then there was a time when there was no need for that. I had gotten what I was supposed to get out of it, learned a lot, still retain a lot of that today. And I think that that's part of the process. Just me. So, mescaline, yep. Got strychnine poisoning one time for some mescaline. Oh, man. Only takes once. You get strychnine poisoning, and I'll tell you what, that'll put a kink in your step. Anyway, yes, Tony, that's very true. I was told that by many people. But you know what? And I got distracted on the journey. We were talking about that labyrinth, the maze. I did. I got hung off onto a side branch. But anyway, so, and there is this thing. Yeah, the thing about peyote is that if you have a shaman who prepares, and peyote's a cactus, and it has these buds on it, and the outside of the cactus, those things are filled with strychnine, but it's in the center, and you have to know what the hell you're doing. And we did, and we went into a vision quest. We were 17, you know. We were living the dream, and we went into a sweat lodge. Tell you, they were ready for me. The hair's raising up on my arms. I mean, it was weird. And the medicine man knew it. And yeah. So anyway, um, let us continue. Um, oh boy, well, y'all got on the bus. That's all I can say. So let's figure out our altar here. We need to get moving on. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Lots of fun here. All right. To begin any kind of magical practice, you will need to create a personal altar. Paul Joe, this is what I'm talking about in your room. And I have an idea how, folks, we can do this where you can literally have it with you. Seriously. Seriously. That's what I'm saying. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. This will be a place to display your magical tools. As you can see behind me, I have a table that has a lot of that on that, and it will be the center of much of your magical practice. Personal altars are as varied as individuals as the people who have them. There is no really wrong way to make any one. Any flat horizontal surface can be made into an altar. Many magical folk use a small table, round, square, rectangle, a bureau, dresser, cabinet, the top of a TV. I wouldn't recommend that, but anyway, uh, because today, one of our TVs are about that wide, right? Or even one shelf of a bookcase. Mine is like that. Though our large Ravenheart family altar is on the mantle over our fireplace. That has to be cool. If you have very little space, a particularly convenient way to make a personal altar is a triangular shelf attached to the walls in a corner of your room. An altar can be any size you find convenient, but I recommend one at least 2 feet wide and 1 foot deep. Once you have a suitable altar space, you will need an altar cloth. Any of you folks out there that have designs on the cloth, let's talk. These are the kind of things we need to get going. And I think we can get them at a better price than the ones that I have seen out on the market. They're ridiculously high. Um, a decorated silk scarf or large handkerchief is ideal, but any piece of pretty material you like will do. We have a fabric shop not too far from us. And I would recommend, if you have one, guys, go. Ladies, you're probably very well familiar. If you check your local metaphysical store, you will probably find some lovely altar cloths with magical designs printed on them. I say if you put your own on there, they're even more powerful. For color-coded magic, you will want to have approximately colored altar cloths. This is, I think, really important. And that's what I'm in the process of doing, getting the different cloths together. This whole lockdown has made it a little bit difficult, but they're opening back up. Anyway, there are a few things that go on almost every altar. First, you should have something to represent each of the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Earth may be represented by a crystal, a geode, a little cup of salt, a pinnacle, bread, fruit, or even a small potted plant. Air might be represented by a feather, a thimble, an incense burner, a bell, a flute, or dried butterfly. Water is usually contained in a cup or chalice, but a seashell, a starfish, or piece of coral also makes a lovely representation as an element. I have this beautiful uh, shell, and the mother of pearl inside is beautiful, and it's one that I use. Think about it. If you live near the ocean, you got it there anyway. Water in your chalice should never be allowed to go stale, but should be refreshed regularly, especially before any working. Fire is universally represented by a red votive candle in a red jar, but a piece of red lava, coal, charred wood, or polished red stone or gem will also serve. Even a little figurine of a red dragon can be used for fire. Your magical tools, such as your wand, the athame, the ritual knife, jewelry, medicine, pouches, amulets, talismans, etc., should also be kept on or around your altar. If you have a lot of such stuff, you might want to fasten a branch or deer antler above your altar from which you can hang things on chains and cords. And I thought that was really clever. You know, it's like, well, this makes a lot of good sense. And you can get an idea about what we're talking about here. But the antlers, I had never even thought about that. Excuse me. Okay. Note, never leave a candle burning on your altar when you're not in the room. I've known several magical folks whose homes burnt down from unattended altar candles. Also, make sure that there is nothing above your candle that could possibly catch on fire. Yeah. Uh, including another shelf, curtains, you get the idea. Next, your altar should have representation of spirit. This may be in the form of a crystal ball, or statues or pictures of gods or goddesses, which you can make yourself or buy at a metaphysical store. Don't try and crowd your altar with such images. One or a match set of two will do nicely. I make such altar statues and have a pretty nice pair of young god and goddess figurines that I figured I designed just for you. Okay. Another way to represent spirit is to have a mirror at the back of your altar. And I think that this is kind of the idea I had, you know, because even in preparing the encounter room, you have to have the mirror. So it would seem like if there was a way, anyway, I'm digressing, but you can understand where I'm coming from having that mirror. And I think it's really a kind of a cool way of representing spirit. It's you. which will reflect your own face when you're doing the workings. I think that's cool. After all, the divine spirit is always within you. Your altar is a little home of spirit, God, goddess to dwell with you as an honored guest. Treat them so, and they will honor you in kind. If you wish to establish an altar to a particular deity, consider this carefully. Take the time to study them. Learn their attributes and symbols. We'll talk more about this later on. I've been thinking more about this, what we read yesterday. I think a lot of these, I think that's just what, I think they're just mischievous. I think they're painting in the butts, and I think they like it. Anyway, that's just me. And finally, your personal altar should have representation of yourself and your loved ones. Photos are the most common way to include them, but some folks use little animal figures to represent themselves and family members, especially those who strongly identify that particular totem critters. Such representations are particularly used in working healing magic. Other decorations may be added as you like. Pretty stones, especially ones with natural holes through them, crystals, fossils, bones, meteorites, shells, acorns, etc., that have the kind of energy you want can be arranged decoratively. Remember, however, that your altar is a sacred place, and never casually put mundane objects like your hairbrush, a can of soda, your wallet on a consecrated altar. Keep the altar clean and fresh. When you have it all set up, do a little rite of consecration, light the candle and incense, and if you're using them, and say, this altar now be sacred space of spirit and of mystery. May magic dwell within this place, and all upon it be blessed be. There you go. Now, think about this. You could have your altar, by the way, and it should be inside your magic circle. They didn't put this here, but they should, and they may later on. Lesson 7, progression and advancement. Initiations. The word initiation means beginning. Initiation is a formal rite of passage, ritual for admitting a new member into an existing group. Most college fraternities and sororities have initiation rituals, and so do some youth groups. Think why we do this. It's encoded in us, as well as street gangs. Some initiations feature challenges and ordeals, and the tougher the ordeal, the greater is the subsequent sense of belonging to the group. Many magical traditions work in groups, variously called covens, lodges, orders, circles, grooves, nest, hearths, etc. And most of these have initiation rituals. But the minimum age of admission to these magical groups is normally 18, as responsible groups do not accept minors. Do not try to run in magic until you can walk. Initiation can be a magical metamorphosis, opening the door to expand consciousness and awareness of the next stage of your spiritual and magical evolution. It can so transform you that your concept of personal and worldly reality is forever altered. Initiation is more than the handing down of secrets and wisdom. It can also be a way of saying to the universe, I am ready to be witness to the unveiling of the mysteries as revealed in my own life. I open to and accept the challenge of being taught through experience. Degrees and grades. Some magical groups also have a number of degrees or grades. Are we saying things like the Masons, the Illuminati? Are they not true magical groups? They practice a very special kind of magic. If you've ever been inside one of their chambers, and that's what they call it. All right. Where are we? Okay. Like school, which acknowledges stages in spiritual development and magical training. You may already be familiar with the colored belt system in Oriental martial arts. Magical degrees are similar. The number of such degrees varies from group to group. Some magical societies feature 10 or more degrees, but the most common number is 3. Each system has its own name for these. In Druidry, the 3 grades are Ovits, Bards, and Phili. In witchcraft, the usual degrees are Initiate, Priest, Priestess, High Priest, or Priestess. The craft guilds acknowledge Apprentice, Journeyman, and Masters. The tradition of wizardry taught in the Grey School recognizes apprentices, journeymen, masters, and adepts. Isn't it odd how this is so laid transparently upon our society? You know, back in the day where they had uh, states where right to work wasn't allowed, it was all unions. And everyone, you went into the union hall and they initiated you into the practice. You literally took an oath. And this case, there are apprentices, journeymen, and masters. So interesting. Some foolish people see attaining such degrees as a goal in itself and may even try and collect them by cheating. But true magical folks know that we can receive our degrees of training, knowledge, wisdom, competence, and compassion only when we have truly earned them. They may come in various and wondrous ways, in flashes of vision and understanding, in unexpected good fortune, and just the way you know that your life is on the right track through magical synchronicity. That is, lucky coincidences. There is no such thing as coincidences, are there? This, Gilmore, will provide you with the basic foundations of an apprenticeship program in wizardry, but to qualify as a journeyman wizard, you will need to enroll in the Grey School, or I would say maybe any mystery school. There's a lot of them out there. We're going to build one. Just telling you, it's going to happen. We're going to build one. The vision has already been given. By taking your lessons only through this book, there is no way for me to evaluate your progress through your apprenticeship, and therefore no way for me to bestow any magical degree upon you. If you ever decide someday to join a magical group, a lodge, or order, you will still have to qualify according to their program. But if you learn these lessons well, I expect you'll do just fine. And perhaps someday we may meet in person. We're stepping out, baby. Yeah, it almost feels like we have our own, you know, lodge here. Class 3, Foundations of Magic. Any sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic. Author C. Clarke. Introduction, Perspective, Reverence, and Humility by Bob Gratrick. Becoming a wizard is a tricky thing. Some who are attached to the idea of becoming a wizard want to gain power or to impress others. But a true wizard starts from the understanding that any human being, no matter how knowledgeable and powerful, is still just one small and temporary being in a universe that is currently thought to be about 14.1 billion years old and about 88 quadrillion miles across, maybe even bigger than that. As his or her knowledge grows, a wizard sees more and more that the proper relationship to the vast and mysterious universe is awe, humility, and reverence. It is astounding, beautiful, and precious that we humans have consciousness and are able to grow as we do into such complex personalities, to accumulate knowledge and skills such as wizardry. To be a wizard is to acknowledge that everything is alive and everything is interconnected. We'll talk more about that later. What that means is that the proper orientation to everything, including other people, is respectfulness and humility. A true wizard doesn't lord over other people or seek attention just because he or she has gained a little knowledge. Always remember that however much we learn, however skilled we become in the art of wizardry, what we do not know will always be vastly more than what we do. Life is, among other things, a process. Out of the state of our beings, we experience and observe that a cycle of change and transformation is at work, a shared state of being and becoming. A wizard is at the work of creation, and his tools are essential lead to those of perception, self-knowledge, and natural law. A wizard's fingers can touch the heart of life itself and know both its power and frailties, the careful balance that exists in all growing things. Within that knowing lies the potential for transformation and acceleration of the natural processes that are at work. These transformations are the essence of magic and creation. They are life-affirming and courageous acts that can bring changes both great and small. It is the ability to speak the magical incantations that banish torment from the troubled, the ability to see and levitate that which is falling down, the energy and insight to remove that which blocks the flow of what life is working at. It is for this, all this, and so much more. A wizard creates rituals so any number of others may share in an expression of their humility and dignity before these life forces. Our lives are most intimate works of creation, and like sculptors, we hold fine images of just whom we would represent to the world. We have some idea of our highest vision of ourselves, a familiarity with the glorious gift that we carry into the world, and our hope to reveal in all that we are beneath this golden sun. While we are at this creative work, if we are to continue to grow, we must step back from time to time to see how we are shaping up. We need to see what needs to be changed next in our personal evolution. We need to look deeply into the concepts and beliefs that we have accepted as true and challenge those ideas with what we now know of ourselves, making whatever adjustments are supported by our self-examination. We look for patterns that define the themes that are working their way through us to see who we are and what we are becoming. We look for patterns in our behaviors and perspectives that bind us to what we are manifesting. And we use these same powers of examination and reception outwardly so that the essence of that which surrounds us can be recognized for exactly what it is. We'll try to get through this. Lesson 2, seeing and thinking like a wizard. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new lands, but in seeing with new eyes. Marcel Proust. If you've seen models or pictures of a brain, you know that there are two halves, the cerebral hemispheres. The left side of the brain, which controls the right side of the body, and the right hand, is all about logical, rational thinking. Mathematics, written language, speech, mechanics, science, and politics are all associated with left brain. And so we see all this stuff with our right eye. Scientists, mathematicians, mechanics, accountants, and politicians are all said to be very left brain. The right side of the brain, on the other hand, is all about intuition, mystical awareness, art, pictures, symbols, music, singing, poetry, magic, dreams, visions, and psychic experiences all are associated with the right brain. And so we see all this stuff with our left eye. Artists, musicians, mystics, and poets are said to be very right brain. The right brain controls the left hand. Try closing one eye and holding your head still and look at a scene with many complex layers, like a room full of people or trees in the wood. Or try looking at a 3D picture through those special 3D glasses, only one eye at a time. Seen through only one eye, everything seems flat rather than three-dimensional. You lose all sense of perspective. In the large sense of things, that's how most people see everything. And what they see is the mundane world. There you have it. We know what this group is. And I'll tell you what I like about this group is that we have the thing where they work to find the balance. Equally right, equally left. Going in with both eyes open. One of the main distinctions between wizards and others is a special way of looking at the world and seeing beyond the surfaces. Some people call this thinking outside the box. Most people really see with only one eye, either the left or the right. That is, they filter all their perceptions and experiences through one side of the brain or the other. A wizard sees with both eyes, using and integrating both sides of the brain at once. And so a wizard has a sense of perspective that most people simply cannot imagine. And the word images means see an image in your mind. When you see that way, patterns appear to you that no one else can see. In fact, they'll tell you that you're just seeing or imagining things. It's like those clever stereogram pictures that look like just a mess of little colored dots and squiggles until you unfocus both your eyes just right. And then suddenly a whole 3D image leaps out at you. The mind of a wizard looks at everything that way. We might even call this the holographic perception. There's a saying that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the kingdom of magic, the one-eyed man is blind. These lessons are to teach you to always see with both eyes. And we'll stop right there. That's pretty cool, though. It's good stuff. I don't know about you, but I like it. So anyway, looks like people didn't want to stay with all the reading, but that's cool. We know what we're here for. We know what we're here to do. And, knowledge comes by no matter how we choose and which path to pick it up at. So, hello, Julie. How are you doing? Julie Ann Payne. See, Magi Nation. Yeah. Thank you, David Barry. Thank you. We're going to get good at this. We're going to continue to push this forward, and we'll have fun in between like we did yesterday. Imagine, that I got some emails on the fact that it befuddled a number of people on their reincarnation. Now I saw some comments of people trying to get around it, but you know what? Still, the math doesn't work. And if there is, in fact, you can't have this influx of souls. Where are they coming from? Are they human? And that brings up a whole story as itself. Well, thank you. Actually, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, anyway, it's powerful stuff. We're going to get it to where when we start doing group spells, that's going to start changing some things. We'll start seeing some people's lives change. I love it. Well, thank you, Twisted Isby. Posy Blue, thank you. Appreciate it. Brandy, you're a fine girl. Create, procreate. Peter West, ain't that the truth? All right, folks. Hey, Merritt, how are you doing? Good to see you, my dear. I've seen some other people I haven't seen in a while. Cool stuff. You got your book. If you don't, get the PDF. I'll be reading quite a bit this weekend. This book is really a mind bender. We're going to go through it because there's some things in here that, yeah, it makes this church just seem more real and normal than it should be, right? All right, folks. Y'all are just the best. Well, summer of healing, we need it. Our nation needs it. There's a lot of nations that need it. Our people, they need healing. So many troubled minds out there. It's just if you look at what's going in the world today, you can't help. Well, thank you, Spirit Girl. To know that there is magic at work here. As one would say, there is sorcery afoot. And it is powerful sorcery. Remember the difference between a wizard and a sorcerer. A wizard does it for humanity, does it for others. That's what his or her magic is about. A sorcerer or sorceress, they're all about them getting things to what they want. And again, if we've learned anything from Hermetics, there is no good or bad. It's a plane and it's a different perspective. Move the marker and suddenly what is bad becomes acceptable. Move the marker more and suddenly what was acceptable now becomes normal. That's the problem of the duality concept. That's the problem about having a God or a devil. You see, they can't exist. One can't have the other. You have to have the antithesis in order to support the illusion. Remove the antithesis and either side collapses. Ba-boom. I think Brian has his show on tonight. I don't know, over at Milky Way Weekly. Tune in over there. The rest of y'all, hello, Jazz. How are you doing? Good to see you. Which book is a mind bender? Oh, I've got lots of them. I'm reading one right now. That's a pretty good one. Anyway, all right. This is fun. All right, folks. Next Friday, having Marsha Price on. Looking forward to that. She makes the rods of raw and powerful things. That's like going in for a spiritual, energizing, recharging session. And so, yeah. Okay. Well, it's been fun. I don't know if I've enjoyed it. Have yourself a great weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Enjoy it. And we'll see you back here on Monday. Speak favor over your life, speak favor over others, and it comes back. It does. Speak it forth. It shall come back to you. I like the expression pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Figure that one out. Yeah. Julianne Pan, love you, dear. Love your magic. It is good stuff. Burning Eagle, how are you doing, my friend? She said, it's Friday. Yeah, it is Friday. All day long. All right, folks. I'll see you later. Be good. So glad to be a part of all of you. It really is an honor. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a small part of your life. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. Send your pictures to David, by the way, over on Discord chat.